DaviePHD's Jargon Busters, Episode 8, Wednesday the 18th of November 2020. If you watch the news, it's full of political jargon you may not fully understand. But what do all these terms actually mean? In these videos I'm going to bust the jargon and explain these things in terms we all get. Well, this week I've been asked to explain some of the groups formed by multiple nations. So if you're going to start this one, it's best to go for the big one. The United Nations, or UN. Well, it's an intergovernmental organisation that aims to maintain international peace and security, develop friendly relations among nations, achieve international cooperation, and be a centre for harmonising the actions of nations. It's the largest, most familiar, most internationally represented, and most powerful intergovernmental organisation in the world. The UN is headquartered on international territory in New York City, with its other main offices in Geneva, Nairobi, Vienna, and The Hague. The UN was established after World War II with the aim of preventing future wars. Succeeding the largely ineffective League of Nations, on the 25th of April 1945, 50 governments met in San Francisco for a conference and started drafting the UN Charter, which was adopted on the 25th of June 1945 and took effect on the 24th of October 1945 when the UN began operations. The organisation's objectives include maintaining international peace and security, protecting human rights, delivering humanitarian aid, promoting sustainable development, and upholding international law. At its founding, the UN had 51 member states. With the addition of South Sudan in 2011, membership is now 193, representing almost all of the world's sovereign states. 10 nations are currently not members, the most notable of those being the Vatican. Though recognised as an observer, the Catholic Church stays politically neutral. Taiwan. As they and China don't recognise each other's statehood, Taiwan is not currently a member. And Palestine, though not a member, is a recognised observer. The UN structure is based on 5 principal organs: the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the International Court of Justice, and the UN Secretariat. 4 of the 5 principal organs are at the main UN headquarters in New York City. The International Court of Justice is located in The Hague, while other major agencies are based in the UN offices at Geneva, Vienna, and Nairobi. Other UN institutions are located throughout the world. The 6 official languages of the UN used in intergovernmental meetings and documents are Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. On the basis of the Convention on the Privileges and Immunities of the United Nations, the UN and its agencies are immune from the laws of the countries where they operate, safeguarding the UN's impartiality with regard to the host and member countries. Specialised agencies. The UN Charter stipulates that each primary organ of the United Nations can establish various specialised agencies to fulfil its duties. The specialised agencies are autonomous organisations working with the United Nations and each other. Covering everything from food security to tourism, some notable ones are the WHO, or World Health Organization, responsible for international public health, the WHO Constitution, which establishes the agency's governance structure and principles, state its main objective as the attainment by all peoples of the highest possible level of health. IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is an international organisation headquartered in Washington DC, consisting of 190 countries, working together to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organisation, is aimed at promoting world peace and security through international cooperation in education in the sciences and culture. UNPK, or UN Peacekeeping, is a role held by the Department of Peace Operations, a unique and dynamic instrument developed by the organisation as a way to help countries torn by conflict to create the conditions for lasting peace. Larger countries assign units from their own armed forces to the United Nations peacekeeping forces on a rotational basis. So, the UN, does it work? Yes, it does. Since its inception, the United Nations has performed various and numerous humanitarian, environmental and peacekeeping undertakings, including providing food to 90 million people in over 75 countries, assisting more than 34 million refugees, authorising 71 international peacekeeping missions, working with 140 nations to minimise climate change, assisting about 50 countries per year with their elections, providing vaccinations for 58% of the children in the world, helping about 30 million women a year with maternal health efforts, and protecting human rights with 80 treaties and declarations. So does it ever screw up? Well, yes it does. Some of the more well-known UN efforts that ended in failure or publicised scandal are the 1994 Rwanda mission. The UN tried to stop the Rwandan genocide, but the Hutus slaughtered nearly 1 million members of the Tutsi minority. Cholera in Haiti. After the 2010 earthquake, UN-led Nepali aid workers were blamed for spreading cholera throughout Haiti, and more than 10,000 people died in the outbreak. The Oil for Food programme. Well, this initiative was designed to allow Iraq to sell oil through the United Nations in exchange for food and medicine. But accusations surfaced that much of the money was funneled to the Iraqi government and to UN officials. There were some sexual abuse allegations. In early 25 UN peacekeepers were accused of paying for sex in the Republic of Congo. Similar allegations of sexual misconduct were also reported in other countries. In a crisis in South Sudan, a UN peacekeeping mission which was established in 2011 was unsuccessful at protecting civilians from death, torture or rape in South Sudan. But in summary, the United Nations is widely acknowledged to be a force for good. The rights of women, children, refugees and oppressed people have all been championed by the UN in its 75 years. Most relevant to us in Scotland, the UN has helped many nations achieve independence from overbearing colonial occupiers. While every organisation has its flaws and shortcomings, the majority of international leaders and experts agree that the United Nations continues to play a critical role in securing peace, stability and prosperity throughout the world. Folks, that's it for the UN. If there's any other political jargon driving you nuts, let me know and I'll bust it. Otherwise, I'd ask you all to comment the Facebook page, play nicely. Unionists are welcome here, as are their dissenting opinions, as long as they play nicely too. DaviePHD.